Peace. What's good, YouTube? It's your man Kareem Samadi back again with another video. Alright, so today we're going to get into mind control 101 and how you're a slave to your own mind, and you're a slave to your vices, you're a slave to everything outside of you, and you're made to be this way for a reason. So one thing that we need to understand on the spiritual path is that the spiritual path is all about realizing that everything that we need is actually all inside of us. We just need to see and believe that first, right? And so this includes all positive emotions, everything that we want to feel on a daily basis. Abundance, prosperity, peace, happiness, pleasure, you name it. Everything that you consider positive it lies within you. And also the negative things lie within you too, which is why you go through these things every day, right? And then this all occurs because everything occurs within our mind. If you know what the law of mentalism states that all is the mind and the mind is all. The universe is the mind and the mind is the universe. So everything that's happening, everything that we go through in our lives is a result of what's going on in our minds. And so this is why I emphasize so much that controlling your mind is very key, because if you don't control your mind, someone else can and will control it for you. And that's facts. So we need to understand how mind control affects us on many different levels, right? What disconnects us from realizing that this is the mind control that's been placed on us collectively is that we've been trained to think that everything that gives us these emotions, that gives us these feelings of success, pleasure, abundance, actually lies all outside of us, right? That's what disconnects us from realizing that this is all mind control. It's a game being played on you, right? And this has been played on you ever since you have begun, since you came into this earth, right? And you were integrating into society as a young child. This game has been being played on you. It doesn't matter what corner of the earth you're on. It's been being played on you in so many different ways, right? The reason so many of us suffer and block our blessings, peace, and success is because we are not in our right minds. That's it, and we are spiritually insane and dormant as a collective. We are spiritually ignorant as a collective. And mentally ignorant, right? But we are mentally ignorant because we have been trained to over-identify with the conscious mind. And we have been trained to favor our intellect and our rationale over our intuition. So the subconscious mind is something that we are not trained in. You are not trained and you're not taught about your subconscious mind in public school. You're not taught how to use your subconscious mind. You are taught how to use your intellect and your deductive reasoning in order to get through your life, right? And everything based off of your intuition, right? Things that you can understand and see and know and feel without seeing it right in front of you. That has been cut off from you. You were in tune with this mind when you first naturally came into this world. Now, when you began to go to school or you were learning from your parents, you were actually taught to use your conscious mind to favor your intellect over your subconscious mind, right? And this is done by design because certain governing forces, and this is not just in the United States, but certain governing forces, they understand metaphysics, they understand spirituality, they understand the subconscious mind. And so this is a battle of knowledge, right? So they understand this and they use it to their own benefit. And one of the benefits of this is he who has the knowledge has the control, they have the power. And so these individuals, they want to use it as a means of control, and they take advantage of this by making systems and societies that groom you and condition you to conform to the way that they tell you to live your life and the way that they tell you to use your mind. This is why you have been trained to focus on the way that your conscious mind takes in information. You're out of tune with your subconscious mind. And so this is what happens, right? This is how they make you a slave to your vices. And this is what they do. So they'll take something like prosperity and abundance, which are two things that exist within you. But dependent on the conditioning in the society that we live in, the world that we live in, right? You are told that prosperity, success, and abundance are something that you achieve, not something that you generate within. So they take this out of you, and they program you to believe and to use your conscious mind to achieve this. Your conscious mind sees things as past, present, and future. It tells you that, okay, if I do this, I'm going to get to this place at a certain point in time. So when I do this, if I do these things in the future, I will be this, I will get this. And instead of actually seeing that you have it all right now in the subconscious mind. So they train you to think this way. They train you to think in terms of past, present, and future. And prosperity, success, and abundance are told to you to be associated with different symbols. And so the symbol that you've associated prosperity, abundance, and success with is paper money, physical paper money. Before, it was tied to different minerals, gemstones on the earth, gold, silver, whatever it may be. But now you've been taught to favor physical paper money or even digital money as a form of prosperity. If you do not have this, you cannot be prosperous. If you do not have this, you cannot be wealthy. If you do not have this, you cannot be successful, simply because you don't possess physical paper, something that grows off of trees and something that is combustible by fire is tied to your prosperity, and so you have been trained to think that this is prosperity, that this is success, that this is wealth, that this is abundance, when in reality, when you die, you don't have that. It doesn't go with you, so that tells you that it was all in your mind to begin with, and you've been trained to over-identify this with your mind. So what we have to understand at this point in time is that they also tell you to go and work a job, because they tell you that if you work a job, that this is how you will achieve that prosperity. Whether or not you actually enjoy it or not, you have to do it. It's something that you're told that you have to do. You're also told that you have to go to school and you have to listen to people that don't know anything about life, teach you about how to live your life and how to do things, right? So that's another reason. And so even if it doesn't serve your purpose or it goes against your dreams and your passions, you are told that your dreams and your passions are not realistic because they're not tangible with the eye. They're and many different things. You are taught this. You are taught, this is why college, career, hustle culture is so rampant in the West, because it's to keep you hyper-focused on associating your abundance, success, and prosperity with something outside of you. And that disconnects you from spirit. The reason why is because you're not realizing that you actually have it within. And so we have to understand that it isn't realistic because it doesn't fit the scope of the reality that they want you to see and believe in. The reality that they want you to see and believe in is that you buying into this, you believing this, is what will give you that. When in reality, if you do buy into this way of thought, you do believe in this, you do believe that all these things outside of you are tied to your prosperity, abundance, wealth. When you do buy into it, it cuts you off from your success and your inner prosperity, because you don't understand what that is to you on a deeper level, on a spiritual level. You just think of it as something physical, right? But what we have to understand is that where does all of this go when we die, right? It all goes to spirit. But when it comes to things that you achieve here, things that you procure here, they all die with you. Everything that you work for dies with you. So it's not something that will last you. But we spend our entire lives doing these things just in order to feel safe, right? And so along with this, you are conditioned to believe that doing these things will bring you success. Doing these things will bring you happiness. It'll bring you peace. And best of all, safety and security, the ego's main concern. Everything is made to play off of your ego. They understand how the ego works. So everything in society is set up to please your ego. And many people across the world, rich or not, they find out that this is not true. All these things that they're doing, doesn't matter how much they procure, they will never find fulfillment. They will never find happiness, peace, safety, and security in doing something that's outside of them. They have to generate it within, spiritually. But this is not considered something that's realistic. It's not considered something that the intellect can observe, because spirit is beyond the intellect. And so they understand this. This is why your intuition, spirit, is not something that you are educated on. It's a matter of education that separates those who have power and those who do not, those who find peace, fulfillment, and success within versus those who try to find it outside of them. Everything everything exists within you, because the mind is all. So that means everything that you could ever possibly desire, all these feelings, all these euphoric feelings, your peace, your success, it all exists inside of you. But you are taught to favor something outside of you in order to achieve this thing, right? But what's inside doesn't need anything. It already has it. It already is it. Now, you are separated from that element based off of your miseducation. So even free things are something that is sold back to you in order to keep you distracted and hooked on them and enslaved into them as a vice in order to seek a certain kind of fulfillment and comfort. Free things are given to you in order to keep you hooked on that, right? This is why porn is free and it's pushed so heavily. It's to keep you a slave to your sexual urges, right? That's why it's so addictive, because it's made to keep you a slave to your lower nature. It's made to keep you a slave to the feelings that it produces. You become a slave to your feelings rather than being in control of your feelings. You become a slave to your body's urges. This is why food, water, all these things are sold back to you to keep you a slave to the body, to keep you a slave to the ego. See, we have to understand the layers of this, because the layers of this, they go much deeper, right? And porn is a large problem with men because it creates a fantasy that you can have it all, but it puts it on a screen for you. And it destroys the mind over time, because you're looking at it as something outside of you, and you're separating yourself from organic human connection, right? Sex in general is not a bad thing, but the overemphasis on it is a bad thing, right? And that's why the society has groomed you and conditioned you to associate sex with success, to associate sex with achievement, to associate sex with the pinnacle of achievement, right? Male or female. Sex is seen as something that is the ultimate goal in life. And this is evidence because if you ever spoken to anyone who's had a lot of sex, myself included, it doesn't bring you that fulfillment. Doesn't matter how much you have it. It doesn't bring you that much fulfillment. It's made to keep you, the overemphasis on it is made to keep you a slave to your lust and connecting with other people properly, right? This is why the overemphasis on it is pushed very heavily through porn, through entertainment, through just in general, the West's miseducation of it. And not only that, but throughout the entire world, because most of the world is following the West. And that's for a reason I'll get into in future videos, right? But the love and the connection dynamic is lost here because the lust is so overactive, it's so overemphasized, right? And so that's keeping us from understanding ourselves. It's also keeping us from understanding others as well, because we lack a self-understanding. And we also lack an understanding of sexual desire, pleasure, and fulfillment, because we've been taught to find that outside of ourselves as something that will bring us pleasure, that will bring us peace, that will bring us happiness. But it won't, right? More and more of something, it won't. You've been trained to consume so heavily. You consume everything, right? Overconsumption is what's keeping you from controlling your mind. And that's why all these things, they're sold back to you. Even if they're free, they're sold back to you so that you can buy into them and consume them. The more that you consume, the more you become addicted to this matrix outside of you. The more you lose that element of connection with spirit, the element of connection with yourself, and you also lose control over your mind, because you're not thinking for yourself. You're not even acting for yourself. Your body is acting because it's in survival mode. Your mind is dormant because your ego is running rampant. So you're not in control of your mind. Your mind has been programmed, your subconscious mind has been programmed to focus on these things outside of you. And so as a result, your spirit doesn't even seem like something you can fathom. Love is sold back to you by having you believe that it's outside of yourself and that someone else has it, that you're only half of a person and that you have an other half, instead of being one whole person, finding a whole person as well. Love is seen as something that has to be given to you, something that you receive rather than something that you are, right? We have a misunderstanding of love itself. And so we tie love to marriage. We tie love to doing things for other people. We tie love to everything that involves everything but being. We tie love to actions. We tie love to a public display of affection. We tie love to jewelry. We tie love to marriage under the government's eyes, right? But love is even being sold back to you and monopolized against you, used against you. Fall in love, better life. Get more sex, better life. Chase money, better life, right? Instead of realizing that you have it all within, you can generate it all within, and that you don't need to chase anything. You just have to recognize what's within and follow the spiritual purpose that you have within. Follow God's purpose for you, right? Religion is sold back to you in order to keep you divided from others. Politics is sold back to you in order to keep you divided from others. But religion is sold back to you in order to keep you seeking spiritual answers and fulfillment outside of yourself. You think that your spiritual answers are in these books, when in reality, these books are nothing more than fragments that are meant for you to ground yourself. But the real spiritual answers are within you. But they sell it back to you in the form of religion to keep you herded up, to keep you on one consensus. Because, like I said, the ego wants to find things that are concurrent. We see it as past, present, future, right? And so religion is sold back to you because in reality, right, we're looking at it as one general consensus rather than looking at things in a holistic point of view. So that's what keeps us separated, because we want one general consensus, and this creates infighting, this creates debate, this creates who's right and who's wrong, rather than keeping you focused on what's within. See, everybody's natural religion is love, right? If you even want to call it religion, but it's love, spirituality, and that's within. That's not something that you are born with that. That's your natural state of mind, but it gets groomed out of you, conditioned out of you, because you lose that element of connection with your spirit and your mind, right? And you seek these spiritual answers and you seek this fulfillment outside of yourself. Nothing's outside of you, including your own enlightenment, including heaven. Nothing's outside of you. Even God isn't outside of you. That's why you have a lot of people confused as to whether God even exists or not. But when we look within, we can see a God, we can find a God, we can feel a God within, right? Because in reality, man created this image, and in this image, we were also created out of gods. So it's all a reflected image of a God. But we won't see that unless we look within and we see it. But if you're looking outside of yourself, you're not going to find one. That's why no gods appeared in the sky. You know, that's why no God has come back to save you, right? Because you're looking in the wrong places. And for politics are weaponized against you too, so that you place your hopes for peace, prosperity, unity, protection into authorities that are only interested in remaining above you. And so the more that you buy into these things, you're buying into politics. And when you buy into politics, you're buying into separation. You're buying more into duality, right? And you're buying more into this hope that humans as a collective are going somewhere. And instead of, being focused on what's going on within, the peace, the prosperity, the protection, the unity within, right? They'll sell it back to you. And when you're focused on these authorities bringing it to you, these authorities giving you your freedom, these authorities giving you a tax break, you are not in your right mind. But because of the way that you've been trained to submit to authorities at a young age, right? If you haven't read that book, The Most Dangerous Superstition, you definitely need to give it a read, because it talks about this. It talks about how you've been conditioned and your mind has been weaponized against you in order to submit to authorities, rather than understanding that you are the ultimate authority, right? You are the ultimate authority in your life. You control everything, right? But you can also give this control to other people outside of you. You can give this control to things outside of you, right? And you become a slave to them. right? A man cannot serve two masters, right? You're either serving yourself or you're serving something else, somebody else. And that's facts. So social status is tied to your self-worth. It's tied to a better life. The more social status that you have, better life. More Instagram followers that you have, better life. More likes that you have, better life. You know, happiness, fulfillment, euphoria, but it's only excitement and it lasts a few seconds. But you become addicted to it and you become a slave to it because you start to see validation as something that is given to you, right? And this is why a lot of people are so heavily focused on the way that they present their bodies. Women are focused on the way that they present their bodies. If their bodies get validation, then they feel better as a person. But in reality, it actually makes them feel more empty because they are seeking this validation from other people. Men are seeking this validation for other people, right? Instead of being content with who you are, how you look, right? And recognizing that you ultimately validate yourself. But see, this is why I say, you know, many different forms of entertainment, many different forms of social status, they can either be tools for yourself or they can be distractions for your consciousness. And you can become a slave to social status very quickly. You can become a slave to validation very quickly if you're starting to seek it outside of yourself, right? And so that's why it's key to really understand that you have it all within, right? No one outside of you can give you anything, nothing outside of you can give you anything that's everlasting. Only you can give it to yourself and you can generate it within, right? And this is why insecurity is such a large thing today. Anxiety is such a large thing today, you know, simply because of the fact that we're not in our right minds and we're seeking things outside of ourselves, right? And any form of entertainment, social media can be a tool for yourself, to help yourself in general, to get yourself further in life, or it can be a distraction. You're the one who chooses it. TV can be a tool or a distraction. You know, your cell phone can be a tool or a distraction. How are you using it, right? Are you letting it use you, or are you controlling your interaction with these things, right? And there is a part of you that doesn't care about validation outside of you, doesn't care about social status, doesn't care about money, doesn't care about where the world's going, you know, fitting in. It doesn't care about these things because it has everything that it needs within. It has the fulfillment within. It has the safety and the security within. It has sustenance, it has peace, it has happiness, it has love, it has pleasure. Everything that you could possibly think of exists within your mind. It exists within your spirit. And because you've been trained to not use your mind properly and to be a slave to your body's urges, to be a slave to social acceptance, to be a slave to following the herd, and ultimately a slave to other people, things outside of you, right? Because you've been trained that way, you can't fathom that there's a part of you that doesn't need these things. And so that's how mind control has been used against you. That's one way that's been used against you, described in many different ways. That's how you become a slave to your vices. That's how you become a slave to these things outside of you. How you become a slave to chasing these things outside of you, because it keeps you distracted. This is the inner matrix that we have to understand, right? The real matrix is the one that's going on within. You know, like I said, it's a game of consciousness. It's a game of knowledge being played against you, right? You either know how this game of chess functions or you don't know. And so where do you start? First, you have to start by recognizing that it's within you, because no video that you can watch can really show you that and tell you that. This is why I recommend meditation so much, because it's very key in understanding that when you really detach from everything, and I mean everything that you attach yourself to, everything that you entangle yourself to, you know, everything that you aspire for in this world, right? When you detach from that and you start to really connect with what's within, then those things will start to appear. Then those answers will start to appear, right? But you're not gonna find it online. Only thing that you're gonna find are pointers, but everything is gonna point back to you, right? You are the common denominator of all these things that's going on. Your mind is the common denominator, because your mind is all a game of how to use your mind. And if you're not using your mind, someone else is using your mind against you. That's facts. So if you don't have the book Mind Control 101 by Dandelion Jones, get that. And also subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed already, because I'm going to be making more videos focusing on this, right? This is going to be an entire series. So if you enjoy the content, leave a like and a comment and let me know your thoughts. And I wish you all luck in your journey, and peace.